Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Barry Landau talking to you. You may know me from my Facebook groups like Planet Philly and Planet Plansia, etc. on Facebook or my YouTube channel. I'm here today with two of my great older friends, Duke Benadom, plant expert, cactus expert, general genius, and my friend Ken Simpson, another kind of genius.
So this is a view of part of my backyard. These are encephalitos from Africa. The blue ones are more rare and more sought after, and makes them more valuable.
I'm sorry, Duke, can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
Let's go back to the other slide for a minute. Sorry. So is it Lamanii in the foreground and Trispinosus in the background?
That's very good. That is Lamanii in the foreground, and
Horridus.
Horridus with Trispinosus?
Actually, it's there's a big controversy on that. Lauren, up to the day he died, was sure that there was a blue form of Arenarius, which a lot of other cycad enthusiasts say is a form of Horridus.
Okay.
So
I have a blue
Arenarius or Horridus is hard to say, but
yeah,
I have a blue Arenarius and a green
or Horridus, same plant.
Interesting.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, next slide.
All right, this is starting to work up a little. I gave very little story a while ago. We started off very interested in a lot of stuff, but my wife and I, because she's from Japan, had no deserts. We went out to the desert a lot and used to go after minerals. And when you're looking for minerals, you sometimes pick up a rock and a snake strikes at you, so you have to jump back to keep from getting bit. And of course, when you jump back, you often run into a cactus. Well, that kind of is the direction that I went to going through all this. I used to collect minerals. Then we had a pet shop for several years, and now I've got a cactus and succulent hobby that's way out of control. And after I ran out of bench space, I had to go upward because there was no room for anything else. And I went into tillandsias. So that's why you see a lot of tillandsias and cacti and succulents and everything else xerophytic, which means doesn't need a lot of water. That's actually a path going from the bottom to the top, which you can't get through at the moment, at least not when this picture was taken. But you can see just how crowded it is. And that's another one of those days not too long ago where I'm moving everything around to make it fit. And of course, it doesn't. We do about 10 shows a year and try to sell a lot of it. Fortunately, it sells better than my books do. But here's more, a lot of shade cloth around, which of course got the authorities to do a lot of peeking because they figured I was doing something illegal.
Oh, God.
There's tillandsias everywhere, bromeliads mostly in the front, cacti, succulents, cycads.
Dead center there. It's like, go back. Dead center there. Oh, it's okay. I see what I think is the
called a wind chime.
Yeah, I got wind chimes all over the yard too.
All right, just go ahead. It's okay. Go ahead.
That pot that's way up at the top looks like it's out of place. It's actually a hanging pot. We've got a lot of stuff in those too.
The big clump of tillandsias in the middle. I think it's a latifolia.
It probably is.
Okay.
To the center left, it looks like a latifolia. Yes.
Here. See if you can name all those tillandsias.
Wow.
And the stuff above the shade cloth is a Pilosocereus. Which one? I'm not sure. I believe it's Grandis.
That's like a creeping cactus.
Yeah, it's a cactus. The flowers are about 15 inches across.
Wow.
They open up in the evening and last pretty much until about an hour after the sun hits them.
This is tillandsia heaven here.
Yeah, behind the bird feeder, is that a Doradii? It doesn't quite look like it.
Where? To the right?
To the right.
Oh, yeah, that's a bird feeder. Yeah, we've got a lot of hummingbirds around.
Yeah, but what's the tillandsia behind that? Is that a Doradii?
I'm not positive.
No. No, it looks like a streptocarpa.
Could be, yeah.
I'm
clump
much
was
more
fucking-
into cacti and succulents first, and second, and cycads third, and bromeliads are down the line. So
And your
you
main
can see
book
all
on
the
that-
tags over on the left side on the bromeliads. I tag them so that I'll remember what they are, because otherwise, nah.
And your main book on cactus is what's the title of that?
The
No.
first one I wrote is called Superb Succulents, which
No,
is
no,
the
but
name
okay,
of my publishing company too.
the one that's only on one genus. What's that one
Well,
called?
that's Echinocerius.
There you go.
It's by far the largest book on that genus in the world. Most comprehensive. It's 8.5 by 11 with 500 pages. So
Stunning.
it covers everything and then some.
Stunning book. I
I'll
love
show
it.
you a picture at the end of it.
Yeah.
Okay, more Tillandsias.
Wow.
That one you probably know.
I use my glasses. Take my glasses. Oh, yeah. What do you call it? Not filifolia.
Flavulata? No.
No, it starts with a J.
Fasciata? I'm sorry, fasciculata, is that a fasciculata?
I believe it starts with a D. Distica.
Or distica?
Distica. Distica. Ah. Beautiful. It's so unusual to see these major,
It's huge. It's about 5 feet across. So it's
these huge 20, 30, 40-year-old clumps. It's amazing.
I've been here for almost 48 years, so this stuff has grown.
Yeah. Well, that's an incredible collection, Duke. And I guess you're going to show us some close-ups now. This is stunning. It looks like recurvifolia subsecunda, or I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you-
probably one of those.
One of those. Great clump.
With
Got to be at least
with
10 or
over
15.
500 species of Tillandsia. It's hard
Yeah.
to always get them right.
And now,
Especially not in flower.
we got there's something like 3,000 or 4,000 hybrids coming on strong, especially in Asia. But I love the way this has the curly leaves. Oh, beautiful. Looks maybe like Tectorum. I don't know. Could be something else too. What do you think, Ken?
Well,
Maybe coalescent form of Tectorum? I don't know.
yeah, the coalescents that I have like hang down and come up.
Yeah, they saxophone, but I
Could
know
be.
there's one that looks like this.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of different.
Yeah, there's a lot of different forms.
I'm not sure how they are in habitat, but you can see the wire behind it. I've got it hooked to that wire, so it's going the way I want it to.
And,
Not the
and
way I
the
want
the thin spike makes it so it makes me doubtful that it's Tectorum, but it could be. I mean,
Well,
I've seen,
I got a white tag on there with the name of it on it. I just
don't worry about it.
says.
Don't worry about it. It's beautiful. Whatever we say, it's beautiful. Wow. I don't know what that is.
I don't either. The flower was interesting to me, so
Yeah, it looks like one of the Guatemalan ones, but it's just not connecting with what the name might be. Still beautiful.
What I noticed on the last picture, you just had a hook and a piece of metal come down, and then at the bottom you wrap the metal around the rhizome
Yep.
to hang it, and then you can play around with the metal to.
Well, that particular piece of metal isn't hooked to anything. It's that Tillandsia is hooked to 3 very thin wires.
At the bottom. Oh, okay.
I see. Nice plant though. So here's a great example of what Tillandsia seeds look like once they dehisce. That
Nice
means
and
once
soft open. Yeah, I've got Tillandsias that start growing on the sides of lounge chairs and
Yeah.
everywhere.
Oh yeah, don't grow anywhere. They grow on the electric wires in South America. But this is once the whoops, go back 1 second. This is once that's a ripe seed pod open. It's not a flower, fresh flower. That's the old flower after it's become a developed ovary and has opened up and starting to disperse the seeds. Okay.
And there are some flowers sticking out the right side.
Yeah, I see there's older, younger spikes to the right of it. That might be last year's spike with the seeds. Here's something nice. Looks like it's in the crotch of one of your big aloes.
That's actually in the crotch of a large aloe banzai or barberry, which Tom Cole came over in what was it 2009 and leaned against it, and his thumb went into it. I killed a huge aloe that was probably 40 to 50 feet tall
Oh my
by
God.
hanging hundreds of tillandsias in it, which of course means I watered it much more often than the aloe wanted.
Yep, and it rotted.
But Tom did well because he took over 100 cuttings of that aloe to his home and sold them. So
But
he
Is
did
the,
okay.
is the bark on this the one that's in the Hercules?
No, this is a species, banzai or
Okay.
barberry. It's the same one.
it's a trade-off because the tillandsias look so beautiful mounted on these. I think that's either concolor or fasciculata.
This looks
This
like
is
a Fasciculata.
Yeah, this is either fasciculata or something similar.
And you can see the aloe leaves in the background here again.
Yeah.
That's hanging in the same tree.
Beautiful,
Different tillandsia.
beautiful spike. And this looks like either Oaxacana or Arabescens. It's one of the soft leaf ones that have with this pendulous spike. Beautiful
Flowers
colors.
nicely. Yeah.
Duke, did you know Charles Wiley?
I know the name. I don't remember the face.
Yeah. He had a book on how to identify Tillandsia species by their dead inflorescence. And
Interesting.
back in the early 1970s, I took a class that he was giving to bromeliad enthusiasts, other people that Barry and I knew, and it was just way over my head, technical and measuring every bract and trizome. I was just very sophisticated, but that's
Yeah,
all
no,
they
they-
had at the time.
Well, most of the succulent plants used to go by flower, fruit, and seed, and now it's all DNA. So that's what the names.
No, but at the research level, at the field level, they still use standard morphological,
Yeah.
what's called keying out. You key
Exactly.
out each and every specific botanical part. They'll have different angles, different curvature, very complex.
And
It was
keep
really
hoping they find
complex.
something new, and then somebody else comes along and says, "Nope, that's the same thing."
Yeah, no, and you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's well taken. 90% of it now is determined by DNA when and
Oh,
if
yeah.
they can afford to do it. So this looks like either cotton candy, which is, or it could be a form of stricta gray leaf, silver leaf. I don't know. It's a nice spike, and then of course to the right is a nice clump of ionantha.
I love
Beautiful.
ionantha, especially when it flowers.
Yeah, me too. It's funny. It's almost like in tillandsias, you might call it the friendship plant, because just like Bilbergia Newton's,
Yeah.
it's almost always the first plant that people start with when they get tillandsias or when they get bromeliads.
Well, there's so many different varieties of Tillandsia ionanthas that you could just collect ionantha varieties.
Yeah, it's astonishing. I literally had to start a second group on Facebook called Planet Tillandsia Ionantha. I got a lady pushing chairs here. Planet Tillandsia Ionantha, because there's just so many of them. And then also, just not to try to push my stuff, I have a great video on my video channel on YouTube under Barry Landau. And it's one of the ones I did with Paul Isley, where he shows off. It must have been 20 different kinds of ionanthas. And it's a really great little video. All right, sorry, go on. That's the bergeri flower,
A lot of
Tillandsia bergeri. And this is, we don't know, it might be concolor.
It looks similar to concolor, and it's growing out of that same
Yeah.
elm.
Single spike, but it looks like it's developing some seeds. We don't know what this is. Might be Shidiana.
I don't know.
Move on. This is nice. This looks like some kind of form of capitata, but it's hard to say. Of course, it's only with years of looking at things you can tell what they are when they're not in bloom.
Yeah.
All tillandsias have to be identified in full bloom, if you want a scientifically proper name. But a beautiful growth habit. This looks familiar too. I don't know. Not
I
sure
like
what that
the,
is.
the tomentum on the flower, Brax.
Could be Zechariah. Could be. I don't know. It's hard to say. I love the look at it. Great thing about this is look how heavily encoded with trichomes it is.
Yeah.
So it tells you it's one of the southern Mexico, Guatemala, something desert related ones that are where they have to have
Along that spike, it's in bloom at the tip, and I only see one dead flower along the way. Usually they just climb up.
well, we may not be seeing, but yeah, I see what you're saying. There's another spent flower there.
Yeah.
Well, I see a whole lot more tillandsia with trichomes on the leaves than I do on the flowers like this one.
Yeah, that's right. But this is nice. Okay.
Very nice. Look at that. Beautiful.
That might be similar.
That's a different one, though.
Different. I don't know. Not recognizing it. Still very pretty.
I just did it because I love
Yeah,
the
I get it. I
I
get
love
it.
I love both plants and animals. I'm just nuts.
This might sound like a real neophyte question, but is there a reason that you see so many like pink and blue and yellows in the inflorescences? Is it an attractor to pollinators, or?
Well, yeah, but it's the subfamily Tillandsioideae. That's one of the tubular blue flower with the pink bracts is a commonality amongst probably 150 or 200 species. So it's just
you'll hear a lot of people say that the plants develop the colors for pollinators, but they really don't. The way that works is the ones with the right colored pollinators stay alive and the other ones don't get reproduced.
Yeah,
because of lack of pollination.
But it's a symbiotic interaction, and we unfortunately we just don't. We're still kind of scientifically in the stone knife age of understanding the long term effects of evolution. But no, Ken is sort of right. It's look, 90% of tillandsias are pollinated by bees or hummingbirds.
Well, I was going to comment, I get loads of hummingbirds coming by all year long, and I've even had some hummingbird nests embedded in some of my tillandsias.
Yeah, we've got 5 different species of hummingbird in this part of California, but only 2 of those are here year round. The other 3 are in and out.
But we're on the hummingbird highway.
Yeah.
I didn't know
that goes from North Alaska to the tip of Argentina.
Like I said, I'm nuts about flora and fauna. So
yeah, me too. So this is another shot of a blooming bergeri. And here we go with, it's either recurvifolia or recurvifolia subsecundifolia. I don't know. I love these. I love anything that looks like a claw.
Is this that hybrid tillandsia spawn?
It could be the one called what do you call it? Feather. I can't think of it now. Sorry.
I think it's Bill Baker's spawn. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. That could be. You're right. You could be right about that because the open floral bracts make it look different than the feather. I was going to say feather duster, which is a cross with stricta. Ooh, beautiful. Nope, hard to tell what it is because we're not seeing the flower plant. But again, this is the classic tubular, slightly violet, slightly blue, purple flowers of the subfamily Tillandsioideae.
Oh, I love that. Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. That might be Arantos just because the petals are so solid blue or purple.
I've got it labeled as Aranthos, but
okay, so it is. That's what it is. It's just weird because the floral bracts don't look that pink in this photo, but that's Aranthos. And this is a kind of a trick shot here. The flowers we're seeing are kind of a different direction. Those are definitely Streptocarpa, but the plant in the foreground is pretty much sure. I'm pretty sure it's Straminia. I mean, it could be another large, soft new one, but most likely it's Straminia.
And oddly, I got this plant, when I got it, it was labeled as Auranthos as well.
This plant?
Yeah,
Wow. That
it
doesn't
doesn't mean
look-
it's correct. It just means that's what it was labeled.
Yeah, no, it's too big and too,
Yeah.
the leaves are too lax and flexible.
It may not be all that big. I get in real close sometimes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're right. I could be judging based on an illusion. Here's Albertiana,
I
one of my
love those
favorite,
flowers. Yeah.
one of the favorite small. There's not that many red flowering Phlanzias.
No.
There's like not Hilde. What's the other one? It's the small one from Peru. Anyways, but this is beautiful Albertiana.
And these grow
There's the-
great in our climate.
Here's the clump of Bergerae, probably 20, 30 years old.
Yeah, I've had it for quite a while.
Yep. And it's just very dependent. Ooh, pretty.
Ciculata?
Might be Ciculata, could be Rodriguesiana. I don't know.
I give you a hint. From the leaf tip to leaf tip is at least 4 feet across.
Yeah, and see, Disticha is even the biggest Disticha doesn't get this. It's this big, so I don't think it's Disticha, but it's possible.
I've got 2 of those, and they're both labeled that, but I probably got them from the same person, and they're both huge.
Yeah,
They weren't
so
when I got them, but they are now.
the thing is this: your collection is old enough that you might have a couple of things that nobody else has. So I'm not going to discount that it might be Disticha.
At the base, is this in a pot of some kind that I see?
Yeah, it's in a wire basket with
basket.
some.
So it might be hiding. Disticha has a bulbous bottom.
Yeah.
So that might just be hidden in the photo. We don't
It
know.
is.
Let me see this. The spike, the way the inflorescence looks, is closer and is right on for Disticha. So it very likely could be. Okay, we're not going to solve it now. Ooh, Funkiana? Yeah.
Yeah, the
Funkiana.
hummingbirds love that one.
And these eventually grow into these beautiful cascading long clumps. And once they get old,
Yeah, I've got a few clumps that are probably 5 or 6 feet.
wow.
And you mentioned that when you took the picture, you didn't use any form of filter or lighting.
No, I never do. I've taken
Those-
probably close to 500,000 photos now, and I don't do that.
This looks like Tillandsia Victoria to me, but it could be something else. Victoria is a hybrid Ionantha cross. I think either Fasciculata or Brachycollis.
And you can see that the wire basket's got to be very big to have that chain hold it. So it's
Yeah. It's an old big one. Beautiful color. I apologize for the background noises. We're talking enough that I don't want to click in and out. Well, I don't know what that is, but it's pretty.
Yeah, I even like the yellow in there and toward the center.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
yellow greenish. It adds nice feature.
And this let me just make the simple point that this is one of the reasons that people love Tillandsia so much. Maybe they're not as complex as orchids, but they're not nearly as hard to grow. And every year, once you get the plant established at the right spot in your backyard or your collection, they will bloom for you consistently year after year.
Constant.
Beautiful.
I probably mentioned to you why I started collecting Tillandsias. It's because I ran out of bench room.
Yeah, you got to go up.
Go vertical,
But,
young man.
Yeah.
But you make a good point, which is that one of the great advantages that Tillandsias give a gardener or a home collector that wants to get into them is that they can take advantage of their walls and their vertical spaces that you can't take that you can't use other plants that way. Yes, you can do baskets, but that's different. And that also is, adds a 12-inch or 13, 14-inch dimension, whereas Tillandsias can hug a wall and only be sticking out maybe 6, 8 inches. So it's
I got
another way.
everything pretty much out there. I don't use walls too much because I like a lot of air movement around them.
Yeah.
So they're all out above and below everything else. We got them hanging from the trees and underneath shade cloth.
That's better. That's a better way. But I mean, just the modern people, modern collectors who live in apartment buildings, Very often they're doing things on the walls, so.
Do you have any particular pests that you have to deal with, from rats to scale, or what issues do you have and how do you take care of them?
Well, I've had scale before, but I don't get much now because most of it, at least in this area, come from the Argentine ants that harvest it. And I got rid of the Argentine ants, which is actually extremely easy to do. Lauren Whitelock gave me the hint. If you want to hear this, there's a product called Termidor, which is made for termites. And if you get one bottle, it'll last you and all of your friends a lifetime.
Wow.
One shot from a spray bottle, mixed, of course, not pure, on any ant trail, Argentine ant trail. And within 2 days, because ants are such clean animals, they go back to the hive or nest, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They clean each other, they clean the queen, and they're all gone in a day to 2 days. Lauren told me this because I had millions of Argentine ants in the yard.
Well, our whole
told me
state
to be gone in 3 days, and I thought he was nuts. Well, he may have been, I don't know, but he's sure right about the.
Now, will that work on other ants also?
I didn't have any other ants, so I don't know. But I never sprayed any other ants anyway. Most ants come out of hives, so as long as you don't spray, and most ants aren't in trails either. But if you don't spray the hive, you're not going to hurt the other ants.
The most common species of ants in California, Argentinian.
Absolutely.
Our state is swimming in them. We have some intrusion of some of the other South American species that are becoming, like fire ants, that are becoming a problem. But the Argentinian and the sugar ants are the two most common.
Okay.
All right.
That's the end of these slides.
Oh, okay. So we'll move on now to talk about your aloes. And we're going to show some shots of the front of the house and the other parts of your collection.
Oh.
It's beautiful.
Okay, that's an idria or a bujum or a what is it? Columnaris.
Skinny thing?
It's got 4 different names, but
the tall skinny thing to the right.
Yeah, that's that real tall thing on the right.
Okay.
That
always tell us the location inside the photo.
That toward the left, that tree that begins down at the bottom and goes off the top of the screen.
Yeah.
That was a seed I brought home from a dirt road in Namibia in 1996.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it used to be Acacia areoloba, but now it's Vachelia areoloba because the names of these plants, now that DNA is a big deal, have changed a lot. Actually, there are no more acacias in Africa. They're now all Vachelias.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, and this was also an acacia from Mexico, and now it's neither. Now it's a Mario Salsa Willardiana.
And the cactus in the front, that's Pringlei. What is the cactus?
The Pachycereus on the front toward the bottom. That yellow thing sticking up at the left is
the taller one. The taller one.
Amok. Yeah. Yeah, there are tons of Madagascan plants behind there.
Yeah.
Did you collect them from Madagascar?
Nope, never been there. I've been around the world a couple times, but I've missed Madagascar. Also missed Iguazu Falls. I always wanted to go to. But there's some tall aloes, and you can see there's a lot of stuff in pots because if I put it all on the ground, you wouldn't be able to move. But it just it's not only continuous moving because they keep growing, but it's continuous repotting. I do repotting at least a day a week, usually 2 or 3 days a week. But I got a lot of pots and a lot of soil. Whittier Fertilizer is really happy about me. There's a more of a distant shot showing a lot of that same stuff and then a lot more too.
And that's a tree aloe in the middle?
Yep. I've got I got a lot of different tree aloes. This particular one is hard to tell what it is in here, but I think, yeah, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to mislead anybody.
No, that's okay.
Okay, here's a backed up view of the yard from a different direction, showing you all the benches, which I got from a nursery that shut down, fairly cheap. And I mean, it's crowded. It's wall to wall in all four directions.
So Duke, regarding your benches, is that lath on top of wood? Is it all wooden structure?
No, it's actually all plastic.
It's all plastic.
Yep.
Pretty good. So you don't get any rotting or
Nope.
problems?
Nope. Nothing. Well, we did have rotting, and we also had an earthquake that tore down all the wooden stuff, including the wooden greenhouse I built.
Oh, boy.
So now the greenhouse is a Harbor Freight, two of those, and all these plastic benches, and especially the ones on shorter legs. No matter how much you shake them, they don't go anywhere.
Where
I
did you get
could
those
have
from?
included some earthquake photos in this, but I didn't. All the plants wound up on the ground.
Where did you get your benches from?
A nursery over that was actually a friend, Artie Chavez. Directly behind his house was a nursery, and I don't even know the name because it closed down before I bought the benches. But
Artie runs the LA Cactus Succulent Society, right?
he used to be the president. He's not anymore, but he has a place called Desert Creations on Parthenia,
Yep.
and he uses the same benches.
I made their first promotional video for you.
Oh, very good. Artie's a good guy. He's 20 years younger than me and extremely knowledgeable. He's really amazing. Actually, I took him to Africa the first time, and he's of Hispanic descent. I took him to Mexico the first time he ever went. Okay, more of the cycads, a little closer view, and this is that area. And area is blue according to Lauren, and according to Jeff Chemnick, it's it's not. And a lot of other cycads in there. You can see that they're extremely crowded, but I've got nowhere to move them to.
Did you obtain these from Lauren Whitelock or?
Most of them, yes. I know collecting cycads has been a no-no for a long time. I've been to Africa. I've actually seen the site where Lauren Whitelock's Encephalotus whitelocki is from, and Lauren never went there. But I did a special trip, me and a local there that we searched for it, and finally found a lady in a post office that said her son had been to a spot where there was a dam that they made a small amount of electricity from, and she thought that they were right around there. And we found that spot on a dirt road after a few days search, and I photographed a lot of Encephalotus whitelocki, and I did collect some seed, but never a plant.
Well, I have your 2-volume set on cycads, and it is absolutely fantastically presented. The pictures are incredible. The information that was upgraded from the first book, it's all really worth owning, even if you don't collect them. I use it as a reference all the time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Lauren spent his life studying cycads, and actually his collection was worth upwards of $20 million when he died, which isn't bad for somebody who worked for the government. And I don't mean as a politician.
Didn't he have one of the last woody eyes on the planet?
He had two, which were valued at over $1 million apiece.
Yeah, I was thinking that's a major component of that larger.
And the three woody eyes at Lotus Land, he supplied to Madame Gonowalska. So he did a lot of that. I also have a woody eye, a pup, and actually 3 of the offsets on the 2 that are now at the Huntington belong to me, as Lauren gave them to me as payment for helping him in the yard for a couple months. But I still haven't talked him out of them.
It's stunning.
And the
Are there
rarity of the woody eye is it's only a male, there's no females, and uh, for those that aren't aware, if you ever make it out to the Huntington Library, his woody eyes and his collection has been planted there, and it's beautiful.
more incredible Tillandsias here? Look at these.
It was probably the largest cycad collection in the world. Certainly it was in the US.
Well,
Yeah, more Tillandsias. You can see some cycads in the back and all kinds of xerophytic plants. Even a pitchfork sticking up there for anybody that feels like falling. The pitchfork
Oh, I
keeps
see that.
being punctured by cacti.
we got Albida, I see Xerographica, a lot of good Tillandsias there.
Here's one of those shots just outside the greenhouse, and again, Tillandsia is up in the air. In all the, I grow everything from seed to answer your question about collecting. Even all the stuff that I take to the shows, 10 or 12 shows a year, all seed grown. I don't.
Amazing.
I'm one of the very few. I think there's only one other, but could be more
So the-
people who do not go out to buy wholesale and sell retail. I grow it all and then sell it.
So what are you growing in those flats typically?
Whatever I can get seed for. I grow a lot of different xerophytic trees, a lot of different aloes, and anything that I get seeds for, but not anything that's xerophytic, anything that's a succulent,
Uh-huh.
which includes all cacti. And there were more wind chimes there, of course. This is another, these are almost all Calabanus hookeri from Mexico, all seedlings of different ages. And that's inside of one of those put it together greenhouses, plastic and aluminum. There's my book list showing the 5 different books. I actually did because I was doing a column that Charlie Glass, a very famous botanist, started as cacti and succulents for the amateur. When he finished, 2 other people took over, but they only did about 2 issues a year out of the 6 issues of the journal. And then I took it over and started doing, I changed the name to Superb Succulents because they certainly weren't plants for the amateur. And then I did it for several years, never missed an issue. And then I decided while I was still doing it, if I was going to write a book. Well, actually, it was Pam that suggested to Lauren and I at a dinner at Lauren's house that we redo Lauren's book. And I agreed immediately. And Lauren said, well, only if you really do a lot of the work on it. And I said, sure, not a problem. While I was waiting for Lauren to get more information, I put together Superb Succulents book, which was based on the articles that I was writing for all the plants that were shown in various sales, as I mentioned I was just going to. So that first book is all about the show plants, winning show plants. I finished that, and then I'd been working on Echinocerius for a few decades, so I decided to put that book together, and that was huge, the 500-pager. And then still waiting, I did Southwest Deserts, California, Nevada. I was going to do Arizona and Utah, but since the younger generation doesn't read much anymore other than the internet, I decided to close it down. I did do the 2 cycad books. I did the first one while Lauren was still alive and sent him an electronic copy, went over to his house. We went through it. He absolutely loved it because for the first time, the photos were with the text. And it was all, I mean, it was laid out, Lauren thought, quite well. I hadn't done volume 2 yet, but then a friend of his came over who thought he should have been the co-author and not me, and told Lauren the book was full of errors. So Lauren actually died thinking that the book was full of errors, although he couldn't find any. So right on his death, actually the week of his death, I published both books. And again, all of these books are now under the name of Superb Succulents for the publishing. And of course, I did all of the layout and all of the editing and all the writing except for the last two. And I did all the editions I did for those. Unfortunately, Lauren never got to see the last book, but
You're available on your website?
they kind of are, but my website is not looking too good at the moment. GoDaddy kind of put a number on me.
We're gonna get that worked out. I got my friend is gonna help you.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you.
Sure.
So anyway, all these books are now 30% off because no one seems to want them except for the older generation. Well, there are some younger ones, but book collecting is so bad that the very large book company that printed these for me went out of business in April of last year.
Really?
So, and all the big bookstores are gone. So, books are.
My father, when my father passed away, even this is 14 years ago, we had his professional collection of art books from his gallery, and that he probably spent $100,000 on during his lifetime, and we couldn't give them away. Seriously, we went to Otis and UCLA, and nobody would take them, not for $1.
I actually spent $109,000 just to print these.
Yeah.
So I don't have it back. So it's
Well,
it's kind of nice whenever I sell a couple.
Duke, one of my favorite books in my collection until I obtained your two CyCAD books was Tropiflora, except your pictures and annotations are far superior to that publication.
I very much appreciate that.
So true.
Tropiflora, just so our audience knows, is a book that is literally 6 inches tall by 12 by whatever, 8.5 by 11, and weighs about 35 pounds. It was before the modern era. It was the #1 encyclopedia of tropical plants by A.B. Graff.
Surprised I don't have that because I've got a lot of books.
You don't have Tropica. That's what I'm thinking.
Tropica. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do have Tropica.
Tropica, not Tropiflora. Tropica. And then it changed names over the years. The earliest editions only had a few color image pages. 90% of it was black and white. Oh wow! What is that? Is that?
This is the front yard.
That's an aloe.
This is an aloe Dowii, and this is starting. The very lower part of the picture is right up against the street.
Yeah.
And that's our house in the back, with more plants than you can shake a plant stick at. There's another front yard view.
Wow.
That palm tree on the far right was there when we moved in, but nothing else. Everything else has changed.
The one going out of view?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The entire yard was those real low growing, up to maybe 2 feet tall junipers. And
oh my God.
There was one fruitless mulberry that I started to cut down, found a hummingbird nest in it, put it back up again, raised 2 baby hummingbirds, and then cut it down. A little more of the front. You can see there's actually some neighbors' houses there in the background, although they're kind of hard to see through the foliage.
I just want to say something. I mentioned Tropiflora because of the dealer company in Florida, which are great for bromeliads, but I thought I'd just show this is the actual book that we were talking about.
Very good.
In the first editions was called Exotica. That's what it was called.
I've got that too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a classic book to own if you're a tropical plant person.
Yeah, this photo is mostly aloes. That pink flowering xerophytic tree was Tabebuia avalonidae, and now it's Handranthus and Pedaginosus.
The one in bloom?
The genus and the species. Got that from Bill Baker, another great grower, now passed away.
The one in bloom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the rest that's just a lot of different aloes. Yeah, I just moved a few of these last week, and have, of course, repotted more. And again, this is right against the street, and that's the sidewalk going from right to left. For you can see a couple feet of it.
Oh, wow.
That really big aloe up against the house is an excelsa, which I guess is named pretty well for because it's excelling. And this is Seymour Linden was another well-known collector. He had an aloe in a 1-gallon pot in his driveway, aloe volkinsii, and it had never branched and never flowered because it was in a 1-gallon pot on concrete. Couldn't root any further. He gave it to me. I took it home, put it in the ground, and almost all of this photo is that plant. It's now got several branches, flowers profusely. It's extremely common in Tanzania, but extremely rare in the US. And the Huntington and Arboretum neither had it, but they both do now because I gave them cuttings from this plant.
How tall is that?
It's about 12 feet, maybe 14.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I can get to the seeds is either with a ladder or off the top of my house. I go up there and then lean over. This is right up against the garage. There's that tree again, and a lot of other stuff in flower. The best flowering time is usually around January. I think the tree looks so good because it also loses all of its leaves before the flowers open.
Mm.
And there's that red one right in the dead center of the photo is aloe ferox. There's aloe after aloe and other succulents you can see down by the curb.
So there's a cycad called Encephalartos ferox. Was there a gentleman named Ferox who named him, or how's they get?
No, that's the ferox is means ferocious in Latin, and it's just a description of the plant because there's so many marginal and surface prickles.
Oh, thank you. Interesting.
Got
So it
spines everywhere.
cut you up pretty good.
It's full of spines.
Yeah, when we moved in, that even that sidewalk leading up to the house wasn't even there. It was literally all junipers.
Right up to the curb and gutter. You don't.
Yeah. That real tall plant coming up above the house is a now I'm going to forget the name. Willardi. No,
Alardia, the one that's sitting against the house,
yeah,
it's distant in the photo.
yeah. Drew Hardii is the species, and it's from Madagascar. I got the seedling from Gene Joseph of Arizona, and it flowered recently. And I posted some photos on Facebook, and the responses I got back, apparently they're pretty much impossible to grow anywhere in the U.S. And I think that the reason this one's doing, I've got one in the backyard as well. I think the reason they're doing so well is because they're very near the house, so you get radiated heat, and it's been in full flower now for a couple months. So it's
You don't have a close up?
not
okay.
right in this section of
No, it's
photo.
okay. Okay, it's just very difficult to see it at all in this photo. Yeah, there we go. Move on. Might as well move on. I saw that.
This is another area about halfway up. At the very bottom left, you can see some rock. That's all limestone. If you fell on that, it would cut you up worse than the plants.
Mm.
And you see that post sticking up toward the right a little from the center.
Galvanized. Yeah.
Along the left where you can't see, I put a rail in because falling on either the path or the plants would be devastating, especially at my age. So that post is to hold me up when I go inside the middle, and the rail is to hold, well, myself or my wife or any visitors up in case they stumble. You can see if you fell down, you may not ever get back up.
No.
Actually, several years ago, the police came in because somebody they were getting away from them went over our back wall and got hung up on a Euphorbia grandicornis and couldn't get loose. So yeah, we captured a crook.
Good job. Did you, shame you didn't have any carnivorous plants back there
Oh,
too.
this is true. Yeah, would have saved the taxpayers a lot of money. Yeah, a little there's the rail I was telling you about. Yeah, I put that in about a year ago, and it saves us from falling.
It's a good idea.
The I showed you those Calabanis hooker eye photos in the greenhouse, those little seedlings. Those two things in the center of the photo, both in pots. One pot a little more orange than the other. Those are
Yeah,
both Calabanis hooker eye, and they're called dioecious because you need a male and a female plant, two different plants, to get seed. And we actually have I think one female and three males. But so the female, I guess, is a happy plant, but it produces a lot of seeds, and I grow a lot of them, and I give a lot of them away to others enthusiasts, and they grow them and sell them. They're really a neat looking plant, I think. And you can see all the cacti and more cycads. Toward the right is a Fukiaria, actually two different species together. There are plants everywhere. Close up in the front. That's aloe. That big clump toward the left and starting at the bottom is an aloe hardy eye, and that's actually a they call it a topotype. It's a cutting from the original plant collected by David Hardy that the species was named after. And it produces a lot of offsets. So I've never produced any from seed, but I've given away a lot of offsets to growers. So it's now fairly widespread. And there's a big pachypodium to the left there. You can see going off the top of the screen.
yeah.
And that to the left of that is that Euphorbia I was telling you about, the grandicornis, that green thing with all those nasty spines sticking out of it. It's the upper left. That's
Yep.
there was a 20-foot wide one in the backyard that the poor guy got hung up in. I think getting hung up in that was probably worse than whatever punishment they gave him.
Gee.
And there are those books again. I believe that's it. Any questions?
Nope.
So for those of people that might want to buy one of your books, should they just look your name up or go to the website that you showed?
Yeah, it'd probably easier to look up superb succulents, or they could look up Duke Benadom. Either way will get you there.
He's
Okay.
he's on Facebook too. It's all on
Yeah.
Facebook. Well, fantastic, Duke. It's great to see your crazy collection, and but a
It
beautiful
helps to be
collection.
crazy. Definitely helps to be crazy.
Well, I look at mine and I think I'm pretty filled up with plants, and then I look at yours and some other collections and realize that I can still walk around in my yard and you would have trouble squeezing through some of the areas without getting a lot of scratches and bruises and probably bleeding.
Oh yeah, all the time. But what's funny is when you repot something and you pick it up to go put it somewhere, and there's no somewhere. So I now have a very basic rule about you don't pick anything up until you've figured out where it's going to go back down.
That's smart.
Instead of a bridge to nowhere, it's a plant question.
Yeah,
to nowhere.
absolutely.